What's up, movie lovers? I'm Mike, and this is Gotta Love Them Movies. Oh, you guys, welcome back. Welcome back to another installment of Gotta Love Them Movies. I'm your host, Mike Brown. It is it's so glad. It is so, you know me, in words, like if you've been watching the show, words don't come to me freely as oft as they should. But I am so glad that all of you are able to join me here on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. As you know, we weren't able to do the show yesterday. I had to go do my, fly in the sky job, hand out some drinks and some beverages to a few people on the aeroplanes who are still refusing to wear their masks and also their headphones. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. We won't get into it. We're here to talk movies, and that's what Gotta Love Them Movies is about. It's just an online community forum where we all can kind of get together and talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, and talking about television shows and maybe upcoming cons and cosplay and video games and all that stuff. All of that stuff I just want to bring all in so we can all have a spot right here, jump in and talk about it. And by the way, if you guys are watching this live, jump down to the comment section below and, leave a few comments, leave some thoughts. Is there anything that you've been wondering about, like what's going on with Chris Evans? We're not going to get too heavy into that. That's a little, not exactly what we want to cover today. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of other things. And speaking of we talking about a whole bunch of other things, that's a perfect lead into my very special guest today. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a film buff. He is a film nerd. He is an improviser. He is a comedian. He is an actor. He is all these lovely and wonderful things. And he is also a YouTuber, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. My guest on the show today is the host of the YouTube channel Educational Adventures with Jimbo. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and please welcome to the show, Mr. James Barnes. Woo-hoo! James, thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on Gotta Love Them Movies. Coming to us all the way live from the Midlands in England. Did I get that right?
Yes.
You do live in the Midlands.
Good to meet you. Good to see everybody. I do. This is correct. In Derbyshire.
Derbyshire.
I'm trying to think of something famous in Derbyshire. I'll come back to you on that one.
Great.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here.
So what qualifies you for jumping in on a movie talk show? I see you on Facebook all the time. You're always posting photos of like, hey, what movie is this from? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you kind of black out a certain piece of footage from the film. Like, what is it about films and television shows that you gravitate towards, and as well, like improvised comedy and acting in general?
Yeah. Well, basically, my love for movies has been since a child. I think it's the kind of voyeuristic kind of where it immerses you into a world and takes you away from, I don't know, the outside world or the problems that you've been having in the daytime. And as soon as you kind of switch on to the TV or the movie and you're watching something, whether it's even YouTube, it just takes you away from all your problems. And as what qualifies me as a movie buff, I'd say over the many years I've watched a lot of films. I kind of gravitate towards action. So my big hero is Arnold.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Van Damme.
Yeah.
Big fan for him. But one of my favourite films of all time, RoboCop. Absolutely love RoboCop. I could talk RoboCop for hours. But yeah, I love, to be honest with you, all kinds of films. I watched the other night that Nicolas Cage one, Mandy.
Isn't that incredible?
It was art. Oh, man. It was interesting. I'm not really into art films because it was very kind of like the colours were like red and kind of stuff. But
Have you
It
seen,
drew me
you know,
in. It
speaking
drew me
of,
in, and other film. I only watched that the other night.
speaking of Nicolas Cage, you know, he has a, you know,
Yeah.
fairly newish film out called The Color of Space. Are you familiar with the film? Have you seen it yet?
I am not, but I'm just going to write it in my list right now. There we go. It's
Yeah,
in my list and ready
it's
to.
you know, you
What is
mentioned
it
Mandy.
called?
It's kind of a similar similar take on, not take on Mandy, but it's, you know, similar in genre,
Yeah.
kind of taste and flavor and feel. Just like one of those like out there indie art house films that's, you know, high production value for an art house film starring Nicolas Cage with a bonkers, like a completely bonkers premise. Anyway, all of
Hmm.
this is to say that you are more than qualified. You are in the world of movies and movie news, and you watch films and television shows with passion and with
I
gusto.
love.
You know, you love the same things that we love, and that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna jump right in and, you know, talk about all the stuff.
Yeah.
We have a few things on the agenda today, but as always, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you the show rundown. First, I'm going to tell you how to subscribe to the channel on YouTube and why that's important. Next, we're going to jump into Toy Tuesdays. We have a winner for Toy Tuesdays this week, which we didn't last week, but we have
Ooh.
a winner this week. Then we're going to go in and talk about, you know, a couple of things that popped up today in the movie news, and then we're going to go straight to the Gotta Love Them Movies mailbag and take your previously emailed questions. And if you guys want to send in an email question, go ahead and send me a little email question there. And then we're going to finish the show off by taking your live questions today. The live chat is already going, and I can see a few people have already started commenting. So if you are watching this live, go ahead and jump into the
Yeah.
comment section below and comment on anything that we're talking about today in the comment section. Or you can raise a brand new question, like what's something that's off the top of your mind, what's something you're thinking about. All right, guys. So let's jump into the Gotta Love Them Movies YouTube page. If you go over to YouTube.com, type in Gotta Love Them Movies, you'll see a little red box in the right hand corner that says subscribe. Go ahead and click that button. By clicking that subscribe button, you are joining our subscriber base. But Mike, we're watching this. Oh, look at that! I've got a little sweat pit stain going on. But Mike, we're watching this show on Facebook Live. Why do we need to go to YouTube and subscribe to your YouTube channel? Well, it's really rather simple. Here's why. When you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you add to the subscriber base, but also more importantly, by adding to the subscriber base and promoting some of these videos that are on the YouTube channel, and by getting more watched content, I begin to qualify for ad revenue. Once I qualify for ad revenue, then I can make this show my full-time job. So if you like the show, if you like the kind of content that we're producing, jump over to the Gotta Love Them Movies YouTube page and click that subscribe button. And, you know, also drop a share and a like and a few comments while you're at it. And while we're on the topic, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, this show will be moving from Facebook to YouTube. So, you know, just something to be on the lookout for there. All right, guys, as promised, we are going to jump right into Toy Tuesdays. All right, guys, what is Toy Tuesdays, you may be asking yourself? Well, it's really rather simple. Toy Tuesdays is a free toy giveaway for my personal collection. If you can see on the shelves behind me, I am a bit of a toy collector, and I would like to continue collecting toys, but I only have a finite amount of space. So I have decided to start a free toy giveaway from my personal collection, A, to help build a subscriber base, and B, so I can have more room to collect more toys. Now, there is no expense to the winner whatsoever, but in order to qualify, you must adhere to the following conditions. Condition number 1, you have to be a subscriber to the YouTube channel, to the Gotta Love Them Movies YouTube channel. 2, you have to like and share this video on social media. And 3, comment down in the comment section the words Toy Tuesdays with today's prompt, Donatello. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Today's Toy Tuesdays is Donatello. This is an 8-bit Donatello. So actually, the prompt that we are going to share is Toy Tuesdays 8-bit Donatello. That's the number 8. The letter 8. If you're familiar with the letter 8, just go ahead and type the letter 8. Otherwise, just use the number 8. 8-bit Donatello right there. Toy Tuesdays 8-bit Donatello is the toy that we are giving away for free. But as aforementioned, last week, we were offering this plush sausage. It's a plush toy sausage with an upside down embroidered face on it. Completely one of those weird accidents that just got embroidered upside down. So this is a plush toy sausage coming all the way from the Denny's restaurant franchise. If you're familiar with Denny's, then you're familiar with their breakfasts and especially their sausages, and they're delicious. So, without further ado, as I'm pushing my microphone around, without further ado, let's find out who is this week's winner for the plush sausage. And James, are you still there? Oh, I think James cut out. Okay, we'll get James back in a few minutes. But this week's winner for Toy Tuesdays is David K. Jones. David K. Jones. That's right, David Jones. If you've watched the show before, then you would know that David K. Jones is a two-time guest here commenting about all things movies and movie news. So David actually jumped down to the comment section below and he commented Toy Tuesdays Grand Slam. He shared this video, he liked this video, and he subscribed to the YouTube channel. So David, you are the winner of this plush sausage from Denny's with the upside down embroidered face on it. It's probably very unique and very rare and very expensive, but I'm giving it to you for free, my friend. So, David is the winner of this week's Toy Tuesdays, and for last week's Toy Tuesdays. And this week's Toy Tuesday is the 8-bit Funko Pop Ninja Turtle Donatello in 8-bit form. So yeah, if you guys want to be considered to win this 8-bit Donatello from Funko. Now, this is part of a collection. If you want the entire collection, Donatello kicks off the new, like this week's collection of the 8-bit Ninja Turtle set. There's 4, obviously, Leonardo, Donatello, Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael. And we're going to offer all 4 of these. If you want to win the set, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Again, comment Toy Tuesdays Donatello 8-bit, and you will be considered in the running to win an 8-bit Funko Pop Donatello. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty cool, pretty funky. It's a really fun collection. All right, guys. So with all that down and out of the way, before we jump into the movie news, like I said before, we lost James Barnes in our Skype. So hold on one second. Let's see if we can get him back. Let's see if we can get this guy back. All right, and it's the phone is ringing. Let's see if he'll pick up the phone, shall we? Oh, tears of sadness. He can't pick up the phone right now. Okay, so we're not gonna waste any more time. We're gonna jump right back into our movie news.
What?
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 And that's right, you guys. It is time to start talking about a little bit of movie news here on Gotta Love Them Movies. And our first bit of news, I should have had this prepared. Our first bit of news, you may have heard of it. Look at that. James is calling me right back. And there's James. How you doing, James? You're all back, buddy.
Right, I'm sorry about that. I've hooked up to it.
And James is joining the live show right back again. James, we just opened up the movie news. So today I don't know if you guys have seen, but a trailer dropped this morning for The Mandalorian Season 2. This is a first look trailer. We have there have been a few still photos, a few still images that were released late last week, kind of showing us, what's going on, like some of the things to expect, but they weren't that exciting. It was just, a few set photos. And here, with the full trailer that just dropped this morning, I think, like 4 hours ago? I think it dropped around noon, East Coast time. We got a really good look at The Mandalorian Season 2 trailer. And I have to be honest, you guys, I kind of loved it. It looked fantastic. It looked exciting. It carried on with the story that, it pretty much looks like it is picking up right from where it left off. It has this great voiceover narrative of okay, so you've got this baby. He's kind of super powerful. You don't know what to do with him. You have got to return him to his people. They talk about Jedis. It sounds like they're going to start introducing some Jedis into the story, which we didn't get any Jedis from season one. It looks like they're expanding the universe a little bit, and I think that was, I don't know if that was a huge issue or problem that I had with season one, but it kind of felt like the world, or rather the story of the Mandalorian, and specifically Mando, it was a little smaller. It was a little smaller, and now with season two, they're expanding the universe a little bit. They're showing us a little bit more of like not just what's going on with Mando and the people that he comes in contact with, but what's the bigger story here? What else is at play? What are the stakes? You know, we already know that The Mandalorian season one takes place 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. And now here we are, you know, things are kind of desolate. The Empire is in ruins. Of course, you know, we know that, you know, over the course of the next 30 some years, they are going to become, was it the New Republic? Is that what it's called? James, help me out here. What's the First Order? Sorry, the First Order. The Empire eventually, you know, the Empire falls. They become the First Order. So we know kind of the trajectory they're on. James, you had an opportunity to see this trailer today. What were your knee-jerk reactions, and what do you think? What do you think the implications are for this world, for this universe?
Well, the first one is I'm on the Facebook. It doesn't look like my face is on there. I don't know if you can see it as well. Oh, there I am. I can actually see it. Yes, right. Yeah, so I managed to watch the trailer, and I was interested. I know it might sound a bit silly. The fact that the Mandalorian was on a boat. I didn't really saw that in Star Wars franchise or any films. That he's on a boat. He's in the ocean. He's traveling along. He's got Baby Yoda with him. People obviously want to attack him. Baby Yoda goes, ooh, protect himself. But yeah, my first impressions was the fact that it looks good, and I think the fact that it dabbles with us is something that is very intriguing, and that I think brings people in to watch it.
No, you say that, you know, they dabble in this universe. What specifically is it that you're talking about?
The fact that obviously it's kind of
because you know it is Star Wars. Like
the
fact that it
universe
is Star Wars is intrinsically going to bring people into this universe. That's what attracted me to it. That's what attracted so many other people to it. So aside from it being Star Wars, okay, granted, you know, Solo was also Star Wars. Rogue One was also Star Wars. There needs to be another hook. Like, what is it? Because yes, Star Wars itself intrinsically is going to bring people in, but what is it about the Mandalorian that reaches out and grabs people and says, you need to watch this show?
I personally think it's the actual character of the Mandalorian, because for me personally, growing up with Star Wars, the Return of the Jedi, the best character for me personally was Boba Fett. He masked, never see his face, and I suppose that's kind of that element of the fact that you don't see who it is kind of crosses over into the world, like for example of Dredd, mysteriousness of the character. You don't see his face, do you?
Yeah, I mean that's true. You don't see Boba Fett's face. I mean, in the prequels, you do get to see Jango Fett, and you know by extension, you do see Boba Fett, like because you know he's a young child, but you do see Jango Fett, which you know by Mandalorian rules is you know he's breaking the rules by showing his face. But now James, correct me if I'm wrong, but you haven't seen season 1 yet, correct?
No.
Okay, cool.
I haven't. But,
cool. Yep.
But I want to. Seeing the season 2 trailer has actually made me want to subscribe to Disney Plus again to actually watch it.
Oh, interesting. So you were a Disney Plus subscriber, you left, but
Yes.
now this trailer has made you want to come back and resubscribe. Do you mind if I ask you, what was it about Disney Plus that, you know, A, you signed up for initially, and B, why did you leave?
Yeah. I signed up mainly for the children. I thought to myself, if I put Disney Plus on the TV, they'll sit down and be quiet. And they ended up not watching it at all. And I was just kind of flicking through, and I was thinking, Pinocchio, Lady and the Tramp, Star Wars films, Toy Story. Mm-hmm. And then I thought to myself, maybe I should invest that £5.99 into WWE. So I invested the money.
Hold on, no. I need a little. Okay, it is wrestling. I was, the World Wildlife I can't remember the. Oh no, that's WWF, World Wildlife Foundation. Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
so yeah, WWE wrestling. You got it.
The WWF, the wrestling was sued by the actual WWF, Wildlife Federation.
Okay.
For the name, and then they had to change it to E. Sorry. WWE. I think I said WWF. Did I say WWF? Yeah. So I did WWF and
James, I've got to be honest. Your audio is getting really bad. It's cutting out quite a lot.
Is it?
It's getting really difficult to hear you.
What about now?
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Is it? Can you hear me now?
Let's not quibble over can you hear me now. Let's just let's keep on going, shall we? People are watching this show live.
They are.
Cool. So The Mandalorian, season 1 and season 2, it may interest you to know that it does not feature Boba Fett. If you remember, Boba Fett died in the middle of Return of the Jedi. So The Mandalorian, taking place 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, it focuses on a brand new character. He goes by the name Mando, and it is quite an interesting show. It's character driven. They have this huge reveal. Of course, like everybody knows Baby Yoda now, but in episode 1, there was this huge reveal that, and Disney kept this a great secret. Nobody knew that there was a Baby Yoda character. Nobody knew. Nobody had any idea. And then at the end of the first episode, you realize, oh no, there's this Baby Yoda. It's adorable. It's cute. And then off we go. And then, of course, over the series or the season, you get to understand a little bit more as to, what is he going to do with Baby Yoda? How does Baby Yoda play into the story? So anyway, you guys out there watching in Facebook land and YouTube land, you guys have probably had a chance to see season 2 Mandalorian trailer by now. What do you think about it? Jump down to the comment section below. I would be very interested to hear your thoughts. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you somewhere in between? I think this trailer, even more than the season 1 trailer, is like exciting, engaging enough to bring in a brand new audience, especially as James pointed out. This is enough for him to resubscribe to Disney Plus. So have you unsubscribed to Disney Plus? I would be interested to know. And would you be interested in resubscribing just for this show? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Okay, guys, moving on to movie news number 2. Today, Viacom, CBS, the Viacom company, they have announced that their streaming service, CBS All Access, will now be going by a brand new name. And I say by now, this will take effect next year in 2021, but they are changing the name from CBS All Access to Paramount Plus. Now, this article is coming to us from Deadline, and the article goes on to talk about some of the whys the reasonings why they did this. The president of Viacom and Paramount Pictures, why are they combining their services together, and what is it that we can expect to see or rather, what can we expect from this new change in name? And I got to tell you guys, they don't have an answer. They don't have an answer as to why CBS All Access is changing its name from CBS All Access, or rather, why Viacom has decided to change the name from CBS All Access to Paramount Plus. I can go ahead and speculate, and of course, that's exactly what we're going to do here. I would speculate a little bit. You know, we have services like Apple TV Plus. We have services like Disney Plus. And, you know, there's other services like Netflix and Hulu and, you know, a myriad of different things. James, is there, you know, I know Scott. Oh, James is gone. James completely left.
Oh, no.
Oh, there he is.
Oh,
Okay. Oh, there's James.
I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, so I told you before, you guys, my streaming software has decided to resize our guests on screen. So when I came back to James, you can see we see a big zoom in of his wall over shoulder. So James, we'll leave you right there for a moment. Sky TV. I know Sky is very big in the UK. Which is where you live. And excuse me, everybody, while I go ahead and resize James's picture here. It's very annoying. Sky is a very large entity in the UK. Do they have their own streaming service?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Sky. Yeah. Sky has, which is quite expensive to get on. But I think, to be honest with you, I think the majority of people are on Netflix. It's the only problem with Netflix is the amount of films on it is not to my satisfaction.
Sure. But the name of the streaming service from Sky is called what?
Now
it's
TV.
Called Now TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and with Now TV, you get subscriptions to Action, Sky, this, that. You've got a lot of channels.
James? I think we may have just lost James. Apologies, James. If you're still there, if you're still watching, give us a call back. We'll try to pipe you in. It sounds like the connection wasn't working too well. It was kind of crackly and dropping out there for a second. But James, if you are there, give me a call back and we'll try to. Hopefully, the connection will improve and we can. Get you back on the show. Anyway, like I was talking about the speculation here with Viacom, I don't exactly know why Viacom has decided to change the name from CBS All Access. Oh, James is back. Okay, here we go. James, are you there, buddy?
Hello.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Did you get that?
Yes.
I did.
Okay, so James is back. I'm not entirely sure why Viacom has decided to change the name from CBS All Access to Paramount Plus. The article from Deadline goes on to say that they don't even really understand why this is happening. All that I can tend to think of is they're trying to streamline and be more in line with all the other streaming players. They're not adding any new content. I mean, CBS All Access has a whole bunch of content on board. They have all their Star Trek stuff. They have Twilight Zone. They have other projects coming out, like other television shows coming out. I don't know if there are any plans for original films, which would tend to make me think there probably are, being that they're changing their name to Paramount Plus, but nothing has been announced. Absolutely nothing has been announced in this regard. And it seems kind of a superfluous move or a redundant move. James, you hear about the news of CBS All Access changing their name to Paramount Plus next year in the year 2021. They're not adding any new content. From your purview, does this seem like a silly thing to do, or do you think that they have a grander plan behind them?
Yeah, I would say it does seem a bit silly in the sense of you have to keep up with the competition in any walks of life. And if you don't,
But what's the competition,
you
though? That's
wither
my
and
question. Like, what's the competition? You know,
yeah.
what are they competing? I mean, they already they were leading. You may not be privy to this knowledge, being from the UK, but they were some of the first ones to launch their own streaming platform, long before NBC. Long before, well, I guess ABC had Hulu, but it was all muddled and it was all connected and whatever. CBS All Access was one of the very first services to launch their own streaming service, I guess. One of the first networks, may I say, to launch their own streaming service. And I remember like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, everybody was complaining, like, if I want to watch stuff on CBS, why do I have to pay extra for it? Why can't they just include all the Big Bang Theory stuff in Hulu? Because that's what all the other big networks were doing. ABC and NBC and Fox and a few other networks, they were all streaming their shows on Hulu, and you have ads, so you watch your ads and then you watch the show. It was it wasn't a free, it was free for the consumer as long as you want to watch, as long as you're okay with watching ads. But then CBS All Access came out, and you pay $6 a month or something like that for the CBS All Access service, and then you get access to their whole library. Now they're changing the name from CBS All Access to Paramount Plus. Do you think that they have grander plans in the future for what it is they're going to release on their streaming service, or do you think it's just going to be more of the same?
To be honest with you, I do believe they've got some marketing, because over here we haven't got that many streaming sites. To be honest, we've got, I don't know if you ever, when you came over, Channel 4. We've got all four. We've got Netflix, Now TV, which is Sky, and I think the main one over here is Netflix, followed by Now TV. But yeah, to go back to your question, well, yeah, they've got to come up with something, because people are running away with it. Over here, for example, I don't know if they're trying to market it for the UK, but Netflix is up there at the top. Nobody talks about anything else, and I suppose that's the problem over here, is the fact that we don't really get CBS or HBO Max or these kind of other platforms, and because we're only a little tiny island, so I don't know if it's those companies actually saying, oh, we're not going to try and target those, because we've got how many people in the USA?
About 300 million plus. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, guys, the big question is for you guys. Does this make sense to you? Do you think there's something that I'm missing? Is there something that I'm leaving out in the conversation here? Do you think there's bigger plans and do you think there's going to be a large rebranding marketing push for this? Do you think that they have some really cool things down the pipeline? Do you think CBS All Access is going to turn into more of a service like Netflix or HBO Max? HBO Max has got some incredible original programming. Do you think that's what CBS All Access or Paramount Plus is looking to accomplish with their rebranding service? Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with all of our movie news out of the way, it is time to open up our Gotta Love Them Movies mailbag. All right, guys, if anybody wants to get an email on the show, if you have a very specific topic that you want to talk about, send me an email at GottaLoveThemMovies@gmail.com. That's GottaLoveThemMovies@gmail.com. And, just send me that email. It's a 24-hour service. I will always get your email. Do you know why? Because it's email. So if there's anything that you want to talk about, if you have a question about something, if something pops up in the news that you are just hearing about and you want to get an extra set of eyes to check that out, send us an email and we'll make it a main topic on the show. And today's email, we only have one email to cover today in the Gotta Love Them Movies mailbag, and this email comes to us from Henry, who lives right here in New York City. Thank you, Henry. Henry says, "Hey, Mike and guest," and today's guest would be James. So Hey, Mike and James.
Hello.
Well, hey, Henry. How are you doing, sir? And Henry says, I'm sure you've already
Hello.
seen this, but Jonathan Majors from Lovecraft Country has been cast as Kang the Conqueror in the next Ant-Man movie. Do you think he is the right Kang for the job? And what does this mean for the future of the MCU? Thanks for taking my question. Well, thank you for sending in that question, Henry. And yeah, for anyone that hasn't heard the news already, Lovecraft, the star of Lovecraft Country, Jonathan Majors, has just joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This article is coming from Deadline in a major way. Now, Deadline was the first news outlet to break the story, and let's just kind of scroll down here for a second. They have some really interesting things to say. I'm just gonna do a quick paraphrase of this. Towards the bottom of the very first paragraph, he says, "The studio had no comment on." Let's give a little background here. Majors has been tapped for one of the lead roles in the next Ant-Man movie opposite Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly. The studio had no comment, but sources close to the project say he is likely to play the supervillain Kang the Conqueror. For some of you, this is going to come as big news. For other people, you're probably scratching your head wondering, who in the world is Kang the Conqueror? Okay, so we have a few things to cover before Henry, we can address your email in its entirety. First of all, Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man 3, what does this mean? Well, first of all, it confirms that there's an Ant-Man 3 movie. Up until this point, we kind of figured that there was going to be an Ant-Man 3 film. The studio had made statements regarding, oh yeah, we're probably going to bring back Peyton Reed and some of the creative team to write and direct Ant-Man 3, but it wasn't like an official thing. It was just kind of more of like these rumors that we're hearing. We figured it was going to happen, but we didn't have concrete evidence or proof. Jonathan Majors being cast in Ant-Man 3 is kind of proof that there's an Ant-Man 3, first and foremost. So, next off, this doesn't exactly confirm Kang the Conqueror is going to be in the film yet. Is it probably going to happen? Yeah, probably. Deadline is one of those news outlets that is pretty factual. They don't put out a lot of rumor. They don't spread a lot of ideas without them being fact-checked or without there's a pretty good certainty that these rumors are going to turn out to be true. So even though it's probably going to happen, it hasn't actually been confirmed yet. Let's just, keep that with a grain of salt moving forward. So assuming that, Jonathan Majors is playing Kang the Conqueror, what does this mean for the MCU? We're going to cover that in just a minute. But first of all, is Jonathan Majors a good fit to play Kang the Conqueror? Before we can address that question, first we have to find out who is Kang the Conqueror. Kind of a big question. Now, before we get into who Kang the Conqueror is, James, have you heard of Kang the Conqueror? Do you know anything about him?
In the 31st century, went back in time, fought the Avengers, beat the Avengers, and also has appeared in Fantastic Four as well. He wears like a suit, and he's got all these different kind of powers, and it should be interesting to kind of bring a new character into the MCU that's not appeared before. Because, with like, for example, the Avengers and different ones, you get these characters that keep popping back up in the MCU. I think it'd be interesting for a new supervillain.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting because I've just looked at who's going to play him. He's not really done that much stuff.
This is true. We'll get into that in just a second.
Hello.
But the question is, who is Kang the Conqueror? And James kind of touched on it a little bit. Yeah, he's a time traveler from the 31st century, but I think it's important to note that yes, he's a time traveler from the 31st century. Kang the Conqueror is kind of a super villain in the regard that he kind of gets to hop around time and go where he wants. He is a descendant of Reed Richards, whom, if you are not familiar with the name Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four. Kang the Conqueror in the comics came to understand and learn about time travel through the work that Victor Von Doom, also a Fantastic Four villain, had done previously in the comics. So Kang the Conqueror is one of those guys that goes through time, and his whole thing is that he is looking to be worshipped as a god in every single time period. He wants to go back to ancient Pharaoh Egypt, and he wants to be worshipped as a god. He wants to go to the far, far future and be worshipped as a god. He wants to be the number, like, you talk about super ego, you talk about someone who is a complete narcissist. This is Kang the Conqueror. He wants to be the ultimate superior, all-time number one, not just in the time that he lives, but forever. He wants his name to be synonymous, not just with Thanos. He wants his name to be synonymous, with the biggest gods and deities that have ever lived. And he wants to be the biggest and baddest of them all. And what's interesting, a few points very interesting about Kang the Conqueror is that he is traditionally, I say traditionally, but more in the here and now, Kang the Conqueror in recent history has been very closely associated with the Young Avengers. Now, okay, I got a few things to say about that. So with the Young Avengers, James, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but the Young Avengers are well, first of all, are you even familiar with the Young Avengers?
To be honest with you, I'm kind of I've always been. Don't get me wrong, a fan of Spider-Man.
No. Like just a yes or no question. Like Young Avengers, are you familiar or not?
No.
Not really. Cool. Awesome.
But I can find out.
No. Like this is no. So the Young Avengers are a group. It's a superhero group, team group up, whatever. They are all derivatives of like some of the major Avengers, right? So we have Iron Lad, who is kind of a derivative of Iron Man. We have Patriot, who is kind of a derivative of Captain America. We have Cassie Lang, who has already appeared in the MCU as Scott Lang's daughter. She grows up to become Stature. She kind of takes on the mantle of like the Iron Man, she takes on the mantle of the Ant-Man costume, and usually gets like really, really big as opposed to Ant-Man getting really, really small. So she takes on the mantle of Stature. We have Kate Bishop, who is the daughter of Hawkeye, who takes on the mantle of Hawkeye with the bow and arrow. We have this group of superhuman people, and in the films, in the MCU itself, they have already started laying the groundwork, in my opinion, and also many other people's opinion. This is, like I say, this is pure speculation here. Pure speculation. But it is my opinion that being that Kang the Conqueror in the comics has shown up most predominantly in the Young Avengers comics, and very famously has been a super villain of, or I guess like nemesis of the Young Avengers, that he is going to his appearance in Ant-Man 3 is eventually going to lead up to a Young Avengers film. Now, in Iron Man 3, we already know that there was the small mechanic kid who was very enamored with Iron Man. And we saw him again at Tony Stark's funeral. We already have Tony Stark's daughter. Maybe she'll be in the Young Avengers, maybe we won't. We already have, I don't know if she's going to go by the name Kate Bishop, but we have Hawkeye's daughter in the MCU proper, and there's also going to be a spin-off television show called Hawkeye, where Hawkeye teaches his daughter how to be Hawkeye. We already know this. We have Cassie Lang in the MCU. We have all these people groundwork has already started to be laid. And, you know, with time travel being introduced in Endgame, everybody was starting to clamor, oh, Kang the Conqueror is near. Kang the Conqueror is near. You know, they have to introduce Kang the Conqueror in Avengers Endgame. They didn't. But now that we have time travel that can be used in through the quantum realm, which quantum realm is, you know, associated with Ant-Man 3, it is my opinion that they are building up to, again, like an Avengers level cataclysmic event of the Young Avengers starring Kang the Conqueror. I think this is incredibly exciting. James, does this get you excited? Is this something that is like how do you think this is going to change the MCU if this is true?
Yeah. Well, to touch on Young Avengers, is it?
What's the question?
Was it Young Avengers? Was it the Young Avengers? Young Avengers?
That is a super team, yes.
Yeah. Now it could go both ways. It could go, for example, with the of X-Men done a New Mutants film, and it absolutely bombed over here to a point where nobody watched it. Now, maybe that's to do with potentially COVID. Who knows? And nobody went to the cinema. Over here, nobody went to watch it. Or it could go the other way, and it could be fresh. Because you got to remember, the Avengers have had how many films now? They've had Age of Ultron.
Well, there's
Civil War.
There's 4 Avengers films officially, but if you're talking about the MCU all encompassing, there's 23 films. 23 films in the MCU.
Now, is it time to get new faces into the MCU? New heroes, a band of hits, like you're talking about, Iron Lad, Patriot. Is it time to get these new people into the MCU and start kind of, not fresh as a sense, but...
Yeah. Well, I mean, they already are doing that. You know, they have the Shang-Chi movie coming out. We have the Eternals movie coming out. We have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. They have already introduced, they've announced that on Disney Plus we're going to get, you know, aside from a Loki show, aside from Falcon and Winter Soldier, aside from the WandaVision show, we're also getting She-Hulk. We're getting Moon Knight, and we're getting, what was the other one? Ms. Marvel. So we're getting a Ms. Marvel, we're getting a She-Hulk, we're getting a Moon Knight introduced into the MCU proper through Disney Plus, through this television show. Not to mention all the other small minor characters that they may seed into these stories. I think this is incredibly exciting. I think this could be bigger than Thanos. This has the potential to be bigger and badder than Thanos because, you know, here we have a supervillain who he doesn't have any superpowers per se. I mean, they may retcon that. They may change things a little bit in the movies, but he doesn't have any superpowers per se. Except for his manipulation of time travel. Now it's like it's through the device created by, or rather the method or technique developed by Victor Von Doom. Are they going to go the Victor Von Doom route in the movies? Probably not. They're probably going to stick with the quantum realm, you know, passing through time in that regard for the films. But also something I heard somebody else mention this on YouTube yesterday, actually, as a matter of fact. There is a possibility, being that Kang the Conqueror has such a strong origin story with the ancient pharaohs, and I can't remember his Egyptian name in the comics, but for a while, Kang the Conqueror was going by an alternate name, and he was kind of a precursor to Apocalypse. And if you're familiar with Apocalypse, he is like a major cataclysmic villain in the X-Men universe. People have often asked, how are they going to introduce mutants into the MCU? I mean, it's possible. It's possible they could introduce mutants through Kang the Conqueror. Maybe he's not just a time traveler. Maybe he's a dimension hopper. Maybe he's going to bring Apocalypse from one dimension into our, universe and, using the multiverse, because why not? They have already introduced it. They've already talked about it. It's possible. There are so many possibilities here with Kang the Conqueror. And Henry, if I can just go back to your question for a second, you asked. So I think we've hit all the different points here. But the one question that you asked that we haven't addressed yet is, do you think he, meaning Jonathan Majors, is the right Kang for the job? James, are you familiar with Jonathan Majors' previous work? He did Lovecraft Country. He was in Da 5 Bloods, a Spike Lee joint, just came out on Netflix. He was in The Last Black Man in San Francisco. He's done a few other projects and whatnot. White Boy Rick, I think he was in White Boy Rick. James, are you familiar with his work? Have you seen Lovecraft Country? What do you think? Could this be a good fit for Kang?
That's what I was going to touch upon. To be honest, I'm looking at his IMDb now, and I'm not going to lie, I've not seen any single thing. But he's only got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, probably about 13 credits since in the last 9 years. So I wouldn't say he's a veteran actor. Yeah, it'd be interesting to watch him. It'd be interesting to watch some of his stuff and see, how he. Because like I say, with acting myself, it's took me a long time to kind of find my roots. The way, the direction I like to go. With practicing all these different kind of things with stand-up comedy, improv, different things that I've performed on film and TV. And all these kind of. It'd be interesting to watch him. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think you hit the head on the nail. It will be interesting to watch him and see how this progresses. I for one, I've been very vocal in the fact of I didn't care for Lovecraft Country. A lot of that has to do with character development. Actually, most of that has to do with character development. It's a kind of show that is right up my alley. I really love like that fantasy horror stuff. I think that could be a really cool genre. This story, I feel like in Lovecraft Country, I feel like we were promised steak, and all we got was like ramen noodles, like with small little steaky bits put into the ramen. I feel like they didn't quite deliver on the promise of what Lovecraft Country was, or at least what I was expecting. Maybe everyone else out there was expecting something completely different with Lovecraft Country than what I was expecting. I would actually be very interested. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. But with Jonathan Majors, he doesn't strike me as a charismatic actor. He seems a little flat. He seems a little stale, which goes back to the question, Henry, that you asked, is Jonathan Majors going to be the right Kang for the job? That all depends on how they write the character of Kang. Kang in the comics and Kang on screen could be two very different incarnations. Scott Lang in the comics and Scott Lang on the screen, a little different, Same thing with Thanos, same thing, even Captain America, even Iron Man. They all have a little bit of a different flavor. A lot of that is the actor, but it's also the writing. How is this character supposed to act? Dave Bautista is a great example of this. Dave Bautista is not a great actor. He's getting better. He is definitely getting better. But, he needs a little work. His performance as Drax is brilliant because James Gunn understands this is my actor. This is who I want the character to be. So let's cast the actor as close to the character as possible so they don't have to go outside the range of, creating a whole new character in this regard. So if they write the character of Kang the Conqueror to be that kind of like dry, flat, not quite as charismatic individual that, that I perceive Jonathan Majors to be, this could be an incredible fit. But if they want him to be a little bit more gregarious, I just don't see it. James, do you have any additional thoughts on the matter and how, like, because I understand you're not incredibly familiar with the work of Jonathan Majors, but based on my brief description, I don't think he's a charismatic actor. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a bad portrayal of the character of Kang. Do you have any insight into this particular issue, and do you think that they are going to write for his strengths?
Yeah, because that's the thing I wanted to kind of touch on. Like you say, with Dave Bautista, not a great actor, but with Drax, they've kind of. Sorry. They kind of he's found the thing that fits him. Like, for example, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, could you see anybody else doing the Terminator?
Oh no, definitely not. Definitely not.
Could you see anybody else doing Rocky?
Again, no.
Luckily, no, exactly. Luckily for Dave Bautista, he's found his thing. He was in which Bond film was it?
Spectre.
Skyfall?
Unfortunately, it was Spectre. It was a terrible film.
Yeah, Spectre. I think it's a memorable performance by Dave Bautista. Could they have got anybody else to be the big muscle? Of course they could.
That's a great point.
Will it be interesting to kind of see this gentleman play Kang? Yeah, of course. But like you say, I think they have to write it to his strengths, because if they start kind of writing it above what he could perform, it's just going to be. You can think of a lot of actors where it's not them.
Yeah, it's true.
And I suppose that goes towards, like, for example, with The Rock sideline, but the Rock, I enjoyed him as a wrestler. I enjoy watching him in films, but he's not made a film that's going to be going down memorable. That's going to be a classic. Like, for example, Arnold, he brought out Running Man, Predator, Terminator, and it's, even though The Rock's got charisma.
You don't think that Skyscraper is going to be a classic film?
Oh yeah, of course it is. It's going to be in the top Empire Top 100, of course. No, it's not. But yeah, with The Rock, his charisma. Jean-Claude is charisma. Arnold Schwarzenegger, charisma. I'm hoping, and I'm gonna check out a couple of these things by Jonathan Majors. And normally I'm right. Normally I'll see an, like, for example, Tom Hardy in Venom. They could have easily got somebody else.
Yeah.
As Bane. I know that everybody loves Tom Hardy as Bane, but for me, I could have got somebody else to wear that mask and be muscular.
It wasn't to the same level of, like, say, Heath Ledger's Joker. It wasn't to that level. Like, it was cool. Yeah, it was kind of cool. But also, it wasn't like this like, incredibly iconic. There's nobody else that could play Bane. Yeah, I totally get your point. Yeah, I totally see that. Yeah. Anyway, question is, guys, what do you think about the casting of Jonathan Majors? Does this do it for you? Do you think he's going to crush it? Do you think this is going to be the coolest thing ever? If indeed, he is going to play Kang the Conqueror. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Thoughts? Let me know your thoughts. Thoughts. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, English. Speaking words, not my strong suit. But yeah, also, is there anything about the MCU or the Young Avengers? Do you think that introducing Kang the Conqueror is going to take the MCU in a very different direction? Do you think Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is going to play into Kang the Conqueror entering at all? Do you think they're announcing that Kang the Conqueror is going to be in Ant-Man 3, kind of the villain or the big bad of Ant-Man 3? But do you think they're actually going to seed him in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? I don't know. It could be. Who knows? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Okay, guys, so with all that down and out of the way, it's time to jump in and take your live questions. You guys have been commenting all show long, so let's go ahead and start the intro for our live questions.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Guys, you have been sending in live questions all show long, and we'd like to just start reading some of them off and, you know, start a dialogue, start a conversation. So let's just get James up on screen here while we go. And our first comment comes to us from Dominique Lundy. And Dominique says, "Hi, Guy." Well, hello, Dominique. Nice to see you. Thank you for being part of the conversation. Next comment is from Megan Payne. Oh, Megan. Megan is going, depending on how many comments Megan lists here, Megan and I have an ongoing inside joke thing with each other. So she's currently saying, "watching you," with a pair of googly eyes right next to it, followed up by "excuses." This is an inside joke between Megan and myself where... anytime it's a long story. If I don't call Megan and shout "Megan," then she, you know, gets on my case. So Megan, James, can you give us your best "Megan" all the way from Derbyshire?
Megan!
Thank you. And Megan, hopefully that should suffice. Our next comment comes to us from Karen Brown, and Karen Brown is my cousin, and she writes, "Toy Tuesdays 8-bit Donatello." Oh, that means Karen is now in the running to win an 8-bit Donatello. This is one in a set of 4. This is the only one that I have, so it's not like I have multiple sets to give away. But this is our Toy Tuesday prize for the day. So, yeah, Karen, as long as you like this comment or like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, you, my dear, are in the running to win the 8-bit Donatello. David K. Jones, winner of the upside down face sausage from Denny's, commented, "the upside down sausage is mine." Yes, that is correct. You are the winner, David. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a commentator on the show in the past. Now, James, I think your video cut out earlier during Toy Tuesdays when we were introducing the plush sausage. Have you ever seen a plush toy sausage like this? Have you ever been to the Denny's restaurant franchise where this sausage is from? And are you are you jealous, just a little bit, of David right now?
I'm very jealous, and because that sausage looks like it could go right on my fireplace, right there. I want that sausage.
Well, I'm sorry to announce that this sausage will not be going on your fireplace, nor will it be going above your fireplace. It is going all the way to the great state of Hawaii instead, so almost halfway around the world from you, sir. I apologize for that, but hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles. My cousin Karen Brown replied to David's comment saying, "Woohoo!" That's right, David. Congratulations. You are the winner. Robbie Spratt from Leeds. Robbie Spratt, sorry. Matthew Wiles from Leeds, excuse me, says, fingers crossed, Toy Tuesdays is the Wolverine. Hang on a second. Matthew, okay, so here's a little context for you guys. Matthew was our very first winner of Toy Tuesdays. It was the Jeff Goldblum figure, Hasbro San Diego Comic-Con 2019 exclusive, I believe. Matthew is looking at the statue of Wolverine over here. Sorry, that statue is not going up for Toy Tuesdays, nor is the Weird Al Yankovic that is dangling from his from base over here. I love you, Matthew. Congratulations, but that will not be happening. My apologies. Okay, moving on. Next comment comes from Matthew Wiles, and he says, "Why should people? Why should people watch The Mandalorian? because this is the way. That is right. James, you say that you haven't seen The Mandalorian. You haven't watched The Mandalorian yet. The term "this is the way" is very famously plugged throughout the show. It is more of a manifestation of this is how we do things, and there's no other way. So, does that particular phrase mean anything to you, having never seen the show?
No.
Well,
I'm sorry.
when you see the show, hopefully it will get a little bit of meaning there. Matthew Wiles goes on to say, I love The Mandalorian a lot for reasons. One is Baby Yoda. For a lot of reasons. One is Baby Yoda, and one is Baby Yoda is not Yoda. Hang on a second. This is confusing. Matthew, I love you, but I can't understand what you're saying. I love The Mandalorian for a lot of reasons. One is Baby Yoda is not Yoda. So who is he? And will we find out more about Yoda's race? And also Mandalorians are awesome. Yes, Mandalorians are awesome. That whole scribe is fantastic. Baby Yoda is not Yoda. Oh, okay, I gotcha. That is true. Baby Yoda is not the Yoda that we've known previously from the films. And so, yes, you are right. Coming to find out, and James is up and left. Finding out who is Baby Yoda and why is Baby Yoda are two questions that are on everybody's minds. And I think it's fascinating and interesting, and we'll just have to wait and see. Matthew Wilds goes on to say, Sky has Now TV. This is one of the services that is in the UK. James can offer a little bit more of an explanation as to what Sky and Now TV are and how it works. And he's back. Kind of. Or maybe not. Cool. I think he's left. So when James comes back, we can. Whoa, there's a. James, how you doing over there? Okay. We'll get back to James in just a second. Once he gets himself settled in. Matthew Wiles says, I'm planning to switch to Now TV, streaming in the future of TV and maybe cinema. I'm planning to switch to Now TV. Streaming is the future of TV and maybe cinema. Streaming is definitely one of the yes, it is going to be the future of movies and television shows. I mean, we've been seeing it for a while. It's definitely catching on. Everybody's jumping on this bandwagon. And while it is going to be the future of cinema and television, I'm staying firm of the opinion. I don't think streaming is going to change. It's not going to replace cinema itself. Nothing will ever replace the experience of walking into a movie theater and being a part of just live entertainment. Like you cannot replicate that. Whether it's on the screen, whether it's live on stage, you just can't replicate those things. And for that reason and that reason alone, I don't think that streaming will overtake cinema. But it will change. It will change how cinema works and operates. James is back. James, do you have a differing opinion, or where do you stand in terms of streaming? And do you think that it's going to change cinema?
Yes, I do. Just like.
Oh, James, I'm so sorry. We can't hear you at all right now. Is there is your microphone having issues? Oh, so sorry. So we can't quite hear. I mean, we can see James. He can go like this, and we can say hi, James, but we can't quite hear you. So James, until you get that figured out, I'm just gonna put you on hold there. But yeah, no, I don't think that that streaming is going to take over cinema in that regard. David K. Jones says, I'd rather pay to have access to the Paramount library than CBS's stuff. Interesting thought. It depends on what Paramount's library is, right? What movies do they have? Are they going to produce original content? I know that they've already produced Yellowstone, the TV show Yellowstone, starring Kevin Costner. It's actually finished its third season. I believe they're in their fourth season. They're about to create their fourth season. I can barely. James, are you there? I can barely hear you.
Yes. Yeah, can you hear me?
Barely. It's very, very faint. It's very, very quiet.
I wonder what that is. I wonder, can you hear me with the microphone?
I don't know. James, I'm going to put you on hold for a second. Yeah, I mean, it all depends on Paramount's library. It all depends on, what services, what can they actually offer their viewership. Like I said, with original programming, that is going to be the thing that draws people in. Like NBC or Peacock, they have Friends, they have The Office, they have Frasier, they have a whole bunch of Seinfeld. They have a whole bunch of properties that they can say, hey, you can watch the shows that you know and love as much as you want, whenever you want. But while you're here, here's a whole bunch of original content for you to stream as well. And that's what Netflix did. Netflix they started off with House of Cards. It was extremely popular and profitable, and people loved it. But it wasn't House of Cards that drew people in. First, it was the mail-in disc service. Do you guys remember when that was still a thing? James, let me check in with you again. Are you there? And can we hear you? Okay, cool. So I don't know if you guys remember, but Netflix had like the mail-in discs and, movie rentals, and that's what Netflix was. And then they switched to the streaming service where you could still get all of like the TV shows and the movies that you wanted, but they were all streaming. So while you're there to watch Friends, you're there to watch Frasier, you're there to watch Seinfeld, you're there to watch The Office, you can also watch their original programming. And then, it all grew from there. So I guess, David, to your point, it all depends on, what is Paramount's library going to be. Matthew Wiles asks, I guess the first question is, will Kang be a villain for one film or the next phase? And that is a big question that a lot of people are asking right now. Is Kang the Conqueror going to be the big bad for one movie, or is he going to be kind of like, are they going to seed him like they did Thanos in build up for Avengers Endgame? Let's check in with James and see if he's back. James, are you back?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Testing.
We can hear you. It's very faint. So maybe speak in a loud, commanding voice, and maybe we can hear exactly what you're there to tell us.
Can you hear me?
So question, James, is Matthew Wiles asked the question, is Kang the Conqueror going to be the villain of Ant-Man 3 for one film, or do you think they're going to seed him for future films? Do you have any thoughts about this?
By the looks of it, with Kang the Conqueror, I believe... Can you hear me properly?
Yes.
Yes. I think they might put him in for another film, or maybe a different hero as well. Maybe. So it won't be just in Ant-Man. Maybe.
They introduced him at the end of Avengers. He pops up in Guardians of the Galaxy, and then he makes a huge appearance in Avengers Infinity War. And you're like, whoa, okay, like we knew. I mean, he had little bits and pieces. I think, was it Avengers 2, Age of Ultron? I think he pops up at the very end, or was it? It doesn't matter. It was he pops up at the end of Sun movie for
He
grabs
does,
the
yeah.
gauntlet and whatever. But
Which one was it?
oh, it doesn't matter what it was. He pops up at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, do you have an opinion? Do you think they're going to keep him as the main villain just for one movie, or do you think he's the type of villain that it makes more sense to spread him out over the course of many films?
Yes, I believe they're going to spread him out over quite a few films because he is quite a commanding figure, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he's not just like, for example, Ultron, which was only in one film.
Correct. Yeah, Ultron would have been a great villain for multiple films, but yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they're gonna bench Kang for one film. I think he's the type of villain that he has the ability for a major cataclysmic event, and a lot of people thought that he was going to make an appearance in Endgame, and there was a lot of speculation. There was a lot of speculation even after Endgame that he was going to be the new big bad for the MCU. So, I mean, this doesn't confirm anything. In fact, Kang hasn't even been confirmed for Ant-Man 3. It's speculated. Sources close to Disney, or rather Deadline sources who are within Disney's ranks or the MCU or Marvel Studios, they say it's going to be Kang the Conqueror. That hasn't been confirmed yet, but we have it on good authority. So assuming all of this is true, I don't think they're going to bench Kang in that regard.
Could he turn up at the end?
And then again,
Could he
I mean,
turn
he
up?
could. I think if that were the case, I think he would turn up at the end of, let's say, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I think that would make more sense for him to turn up at the end and then actually introduce his character, because he, as the article says in Deadline, he is cast in a major role of Ant-Man 3. He is a major role.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, if all of this is true, if all of this is going to play out the way that this article says it probably will, I doubt that they would just pop him in right at the very end.
Well, yeah, because other films will do that, won't they? Like, for example, the new Ghostbusters, where it's meant to have the original casting. They'll probably turn up at the end. And it's
Bill
like,
Murray won't, actually. Bill Murray, like, that has been public knowledge that Bill Murray is playing a major role in the film. Not like a major role, but it's not just going to be a cameo. It's not going to be on the same wavelength that, let's say, Dan Aykroyd's cameo in the 2016 Ghostbusters. If you saw the trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife, the whole voiceover is Bill Murray. That is Bill Murray giving that whole voiceover in the trailer. So, where he says, "Call it fate, call it karma," and he goes on and on and on. That's all Bill Murray. So he is going to be playing a decent sized role in the new Ghostbusters. So just gonna have to wait around and see how that plays out.
Hopefully, yeah.
Matthew Wiles.
I'm a big Ghostbusters fan.
Those movies so good. In fact, you say Ghostbusters. Check this out. I don't know if you can see it, but I have the kids, the children from Stranger Things, dressed up as the Ghostbusters right there. Yeah,
as Ghostbusters. Oh yeah. You've also got the animated series of Batmobile as well. I just noticed.
It is the best version of the Batmobile. It's my favorite. I'm sorry. It is the best.
Yes, it is.
So Matthew Wiles goes on and says, I like Kang, but I would be annoyed if it was Young Avengers. Let's have it be Fantastic Four. That's an interesting point.
They've done Fantastic Four before twice.
Yeah, but it wasn't Marvel Studios. That was Marvel Entertainment. And it was 20th Century Fox, and it was terrible. But Marvel Studios eventually is going to do another Fantastic Four film. I mean, we just know that's going to happen.
Let's hope they do it right. Let's hope they do it right.
I assume the villain for the Fantastic Four would probably be Doctor Doom. I mean, that's the most classic villain. But then again, maybe not. I don't see Kang being the main... Like, if they're going to use Kang, if Kang is going to be the big bad... I don't think it's all going to be built up for a Fantastic Four film. I mean, maybe that would be a really cool bait and switch. I just don't see it. I see it as being, maybe the Eternals are going to have to defeat Kang. Maybe the Young Avengers are going to have to defeat Kang. And I don't mean like the first Avengers movie, or I'm sorry, the first Young Avengers movie that comes out, supposing if that actually is going to be a thing. This is something they're going to have to, because again, with Thanos, they introduced Thanos in 2012 in the first Avengers film, and they didn't actually have the big payoff until 2019. So it took, 7 years? It was a 7-year buildup for Thanos. So I would imagine in the MCU, it would be a very similar thing where, he's going to be in this thing for a long time before he's finally vanquished. You need a cataclysmic event level villain, and I do think it is Kang. It could be Fantastic Four. I mean, that would be interesting. That'd be cool to see, but I don't know. I just don't see it. Matthew Wiles finishes off the feed, our comment feed today. Last comment of the day. He says, Mike, I swear to you that my one goal in life now is to have you read one of my comments without being confused, as God is my witness. Well, Matthew, put a little punctuation. A little bit of punctuation goes a long way. James, it is an incredible cliche to say that those of you who are English also have a master command of the English language and are more well versed in the Queen's speech, the Queen's language, the finer things in life. So where do you fall when it comes to the Oxford comma?
Huh? What?
The Oxford comma?
Oh, sorry. Yes, the comma. Well, obviously the comma. Do you mean the punctuation?
Yeah, just
comma?
Punctuation in general, really.
Okay. The comma is used, I believe, in a sentence when you're taking a breath. For example, are you still there?
Oh, you're cutting out. You are cutting out.
Still there? Oh, am I? Okay. I hope you got that.
Great. I'm a huge fan of the comma too. So Matthew, I hope that maybe with a few more commas in there, I won't be tripping over your comments. Yes. And actually, this last one is perfect. Mike, period. I swear to you that my one goal in life now is to have you read one of my comments without being confused, period. As, period, God, period, is, period, my, period, witness, with 1,000 exclamation points. That is my goal as well.
Wow.
So you and I, sir, are in alignment in that regard. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. That was our last comment here on Gotta Love Them Movies. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's do a little bit of this. James, thank you so much
Round
to
of
you,
applause.
sir, for being a guest on the show today. Can you just tell our guest a little bit about your YouTube channel and what it is that you promote and what it is that you do on your channel?
Yeah, I promote educational adventures on with Jimbo. So it's educational videos for children, and adults will enjoy it too. So head over there, enjoy yourself, and let's build up them subscribers, just like Mike is doing with his, so we can all enjoy the finer things in life.
I agree. Let's enjoy the finer things in life.
Yeah.
So guys, jump over to James's YouTube channel here. Let's go ahead and find it again real quick. Here we go. Oh shoot, I just lost it. Oh, of course, I'm the worst. There we go. How's this? Educational Adventures with Jimbo. Jump over to his YouTube channel. Click that subscribe button. You can already see that I have subscribed. I encourage you to do the same. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining and just being a part of the conversation. If you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what Kang the Conqueror would want you to do. My name is Mike Brown. Of course, I do the show every day except for Mondays this month, next month. Actually, big announcement. I haven't actually talked about this. Next week, we won't be doing any shows next week. As many of you know, I have a little flight attendant job that I do. I have to go fly the friendly skies and tell people to keep their masks on. So next week, all of next week, we won't be doing a show next week, sadly, because I have to go fly the friendly skies, and it's my last week of flying before I get to make this YouTube channel my full-time job and hopefully earn a little Skrilla while I'm at it. So anyway, guys, I won't be doing the show next week. I'll keep making this announcement as we go. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being part of the conversation. Thank you for being part of the community. And again, huge thanks to James for joining me. James on Instagram, your handle is at Jimbos_educational_adventures. Thank you again so much for joining me. Subscribe to his channel, and do you have any other last thoughts of wisdom to share before we go?
Enjoy movies.
Enjoy
those movies.
I could not have said it better myself. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a very strange world, so I encourage you, please speak kind words to each other. And please, infuse a little bit of kindness whenever you get an opportunity.
Peace and love.
That's going to help keep the world go round. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you tomorrow with a brand new show, with a brand new episode. Until then, have a great day.